All right, may the words of my mouth and the meditation of mine heart be acceptable in your sight. He is our strength and our Redeemer, and it is in His name, which is His authority, that we pray, praise, proclaim, project, and protect today's message. Amen. Welcome. Shalom, family. Barakallah, Sham Yechava. I'm Kofi, head of the Servants of Christ. Mashalom Chi. Hello, everybody. I'm Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servants of Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time, by being the voice of the voiceless and speaking the unspoken. Glad to be able to come on tonight. Have to come on a different TikTok channel on this evening due to the fact that we still can't go live on Kofi_42 because they said last night that I was giving hate speech, which we know is not true. But those of you on YouTube and on multiple TikTok channels, thanks for being on. We're going to continue to do what we do, and we appreciate you. Thank you for being on. I'm not going to be on too long. Matter of fact, it's been stormy as we've been traveling, so that slowed us down a little bit. But after this, hopefully, we'll be at our destination in a little less than a couple hours. Hopefully, make it there by around 10 p.m. Eastern New York time sometime. And as a reminder, we'll have the live session on tomorrow in the Rising. I may or may not be on tomorrow. We'll double check to see what's going on. Uh, might have to be on in the Rising tomorrow, but we'll see how that works out. But thanks everybody for being on. Appreciate you. And today I want to talk about. Well, before we do that, let's say hello to everybody. How you doing? Once again, check out my wife as always, the Honorable Maya, on TikTok, YouTube, website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish. Not A&D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. She is a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. Thanks for being on, babe. Love you very much. She's rolling with me as is our son. And to everybody, how you doing? Let's say hello, everybody, real quick before we get in here. To the moderators, Minister staff, we appreciate you, moderators. I bow down. Thank you. Um, Brother Brian, Minister Shantae, Brother Alton, Minister Morel. Once again, to my wife, thank you for being on, babe. Malfred, everybody, King, Renee, Lottie Dottie, and everybody. Appreciate your presence. Sorry, I got bad lighting. It is what it is. But hopefully you can see me enough that everything will work itself out. Um, Today, I would like to specifically, actually, let me try something real quick. I don't have any. Mm, oh, yeah, that's not. Well, let's see if it works. But today, I would like to discuss with you. It kind of worked. All right. Well, that's about the best we're gonna get right now. I would like to talk about for a subject matter. How you doing there, Queen A? How you doing? First to tick, then the top. Sister Monica, everybody. I would like to speak specifically today on a topic that's not going to take too long. Just a reminder for some, but I want to say you might be looking for too much. Oh wow! Hold on. I'm gonna bring this. Give me a second. I'm gonna wipe this camera off some. See if we can get a little better light. Hold on 1 second, y'all. Give me a second. Okay, I think that's a lot better. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better than what it was. I don't know what's going on there. If you're on TikTok, do you see a streak? That might just be my screen. Do you see? Does it look like a streak on your videos? If you're on TikTok, does it look like there's a streak going through? Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I'm gonna have to clean off the camera, I guess, or maybe get inside the outer protection. I don't know what's going on with that. But we thank y'all for an opportunity. How you doing, Yvette? How you doing, Jelani? How you doing, Christopher? I apologize for that. I don't really know what to do about that. But thank you guys for being on. Yeah, there is a streak. Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, we'll just have to deal with it for tonight, and I'll try to figure it out sometime in between tonight and next time I come on. Um, Tonight, I want to talk about you might be looking for too much. How you doing, Sister Nadine? How you doing? The name I always get it mixed up. Sister Sylvia. That should be Sister Sylvia. Amen. Alrighty. So you might be looking for too much. What do I mean? We live in a society today to where everybody's got to be extremely perfect. We live in a society today where everybody's got to be making a specific amount of money. Everybody has to be making specific choices. Everybody, like, we can't watch this. We can't ever be excited about LeBron James because LeBron James can't be anything because he's not Michael Jordan. Whether you believe, I'm not going to get into who's better and who's worse, but these are things that we deal with. Even if you're not into sports, you hear people argue about this. Or what about you have a Patrick Mahomes, who might be the most talented quarterback we've ever seen, but he's nothing. We shouldn't pay attention to him or be excited about him because he's not Tom Brady. He hasn't won 7 championships. Or, we have somebody who's a great singer, but they're not Patti LaBelle. So we can't say that they're a great singer, or they're not Sarah Vaughan, or they're not this, or they're not that. We're constantly in competition, and we've gotten into so much competition one with the other, where we've forgotten that sometimes it's okay for people to have flaws, and they might be great at something that somebody else is. Going back to LeBron James, Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is I would some might even argue Kobe is more skilled. I don't know if I go through all that, but Michael Jordan is definitely great at scoring, probably the greatest scorer that the game's ever seen at the shooting guard position. I think I have to put that in there because people want to act like Wilt Chamberlain and other people didn't score very well, or even the Iceman, didn't score very well. A lot of people who scored the basketball, but fine, Michael Jordan is up there as far as scores, right? But LeBron James, who has scored more points, you can say had a better career scoring. But if you don't want to say he's a better scorer, let's at least peak for peak and all that stuff. Then you got to admit he's probably better at passing. He's better at defense. He's better at certain things, and it's okay that they can both be in their category, right? And if you're looking for perfection, or if you're looking for somebody to be something that they're not, if you're looking for somebody to be someone they're not created to be, how you doing, Minister Nice, by the way, right? How you doing, Brother Jermaine? How you doing, Sister Tori? If I'm always looking for somebody to be something that either they're not at that level or they're created to be something different, I'm looking for too much, right? I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but maybe you're somebody. This is something I had to learn in my position, right? Coming up, maybe you're looking for somebody and they got to sound or act or look like your pastor or whatever, um, but they might not be your pastor. That might not be their gift. You're looking for somebody to make t-shirts like this person, but maybe that's not their gift, maybe that's not their style. You're looking for somebody who speaks languages like this person, but maybe that's not their gift. Maybe they don't speak languages, but they are great at being able to provide meals for people, right? You're looking for somebody who cooks like mama in them, but maybe they've never seen mama in them, and until they get introduced to that style of cooking, what they do works well for where they are, right? A lot of us are looking for too much. We're looking for too much in our leadership. Thanks for being part of Community Sierra. um, we're looking for all these people to be perfect in what we think perfection is, and we keep forgetting that everybody is a piece of the puzzle, right? I am never going to be. I say this all the time. My wife and I work perfectly together because my wife is better at certain things than I am, and I am better at certain things than she is. When we realize that, it stopped being about a competition as far as why don't you act like me, talk like me, react like me, whatever. And it went from that and it turned into how can I best utilize what you do better than I do? And how can I use what I do better than you do, right? To help you to be lifted up, that we might become one. Two different people becoming one to come together. I was looking for too much when I was looking for a carbon copy of myself. And she was looking for too much if she was looking for a carbon copy of herself. We're looking for people that'll help us to be better. In order for that to happen, we both have to recognize that there's certain things that we do, right, and don't do. We need each other because we don't do everything, but we also do some things. And if you're looking for something that's going to be perfect, whatever you think perfection is, whatever you're trying to roll with, whatever you're trying to tell everybody perfection is, if you're looking for that, you're going to be in a position to where you're going to be looking for too much out of somebody. We all speak different love languages, right? Here's two of the love languages: words of affirmation, acts of service. If you're somebody that likes words of affirmation, you'll say words all day, right, to somebody to show them that you love them. Also, too, though, you start expecting that they need to speak the way you speak. The words you like to use should be the words that they use. But what if those aren't words that they use? What if they weren't raised in a family where everybody speaks to each other? What if they've been in relationships before where that never really mattered? Now you're the first person that wants words. Well, they're going to have to learn and grow into speaking the love language you speak. How you doing, Emmanuel? Peace to you. How you doing, Joseph? Right? So they're going to have to learn and grow in some of those things. You might be asking for too much, right? In the meantime, though, also, you're giving them words of affirmation. They like acts of service. So you say, I love you. I appreciate you. I need you. You're the greatest. You're the best. You do all these things. And here's this person saying, yeah, but I really love it if you just did some of the chores, right? I'd really love it if you adopted some of the things that would cause me to see the actions, because see, for me, actions speak louder than words. And we just say this stuff randomly. We go, how you doing, Minister Joseph? We just say, hey, um, actions speak louder than words. But the person who came up with that, their love language was actions. So we say actions speak louder than words. But for somebody, you can do a whole bunch of actions and they'll see you do the yard, they'll see you do all this great stuff. And then they say, oh, but you don't love me. You say, well, wait a minute, I pay the bills. I do the yard work. I clean the gutters. I make the food. I watch the children. You start putting out all these actions and they're saying, no, I need words. And so you doing too much. You're looking for too much. You're looking for them to do something. And really all they might need is a word. How you doing, Brother TJ? You might be somebody thinking I need to provide all this stuff financially. And that person's like, I might just like to hang around you. Right? Like they might just want to hang. What if their love language is gifts? You've been busy doing all the work around the house. They were looking for a card. Dollar Tree 50-cent special. Hallmark card. Can you just write something out? Can you give me a text throughout the day? Could you pick a dandelion off the side of the road? Could you get a rose? And even if the rose doesn't last till you got home, the fact that you picked it for me means so much more, right? Than some of these other things. Like we're looking for some stuff, and sometimes you're looking for too much because you're holding this person accountable to a standard that might not be theirs, or you're trying to serve somebody in a standard that might not be theirs. There's some people, they don't need that. What if they like physical touch? You might be giving them all this stuff and all these words, and they're like, your words don't mean much because you don't give me a hug. How you doing, Sahara? Right? You might be giving them all this stuff, and it's stuff that they don't need. You might be doing too much. You ever heard somebody say you doing too much, and you're like, what do you mean? Well, I should not be doing too much. But also, it goes on the opposite end. You're saying they're doing too much, but have you taken into account that some of the things they're doing is because that's how they show they love you? We're asking for a lot of things from a lot of people, and we're not seeing if what we're asking for, or if we're looking for, or we're expecting, or what we're doing, it might be too much. It might be something that's not required. You said your older daughter's always saying you're doing too much. How you doing, Sister Sage? Right? You might be doing a bunch of stuff that's not required at all. It's not required for you to do some of the stuff that you're doing. Maybe if you calm down a little bit, maybe if you gave the person what they're looking for, maybe if you're looking for some of the things, right? But we're constantly, consistently giving people what we expect, and we're constantly looking for people to give us what we expect, and it might not be what Yah has even created that person to receive. So now we start saying, look at you, you don't you don't you don't respect what I do. You don't care about it. You don't say thank you. You don't do. And look, they should say thank you. But hear what I'm saying. It might be stuff that's not registered. How you doing, Sister Urana? It might not register with the person because it might be way too much, or it might be something that they don't require. This, by the way, is one of the reasons why you need somebody to talk to and have experiences with and have conversations. This is the reason why you need to talk to somebody who's a parent, a parental figure or guide in your life, because there are some people that have experience that can tell you that sometimes, like, watch this, everything that I do should be thought out, but everything that I do should be specific to what I'm looking for. Thank you, in motion, appreciate you. Right? I'm not looking to do anything outside of what I'm called to do or what the person's calling requires of me. Right? How you doing, Glenn? Thanks for being part of the community. Right. I'm not looking to do stuff that's outside of what's required of me first. Now I got to go above what's required. I don't want to get it twisted. Maybe I should change my word usage. I'm not going to go out. I'm not going to start off with, I'm going to give the sun, the moon, and the stars. And right here on earth, I'm not taking care of certain things. I might be doing too much or doing too much too soon. See, if it's at the wrong time, maybe it's too much. How you doing, Brother Terry? Right? Like maybe you're doing what's required and you're treating stuff on an 80-year of marriage level, but maybe right now they need some stuff on a year or 2-year level. Right? Maybe you're doing some stuff that is going to show people what's going to go on once your business has been around 5 years, but you've been dealing with stuff for 5 months and you still don't have your team in order. Right? Maybe you're busy preaching a sermon and doing this and doing that now, right? As if you and look, preach like you're preaching the 500 while you're preaching the 5. That's great. But also too, while you got 5, take extra time out right now with the 5 and speak to each one of their hearts. There's a time that you're going to be able to, you're going to speak to 500, 1,000, 2,000, 10,000. And when you get there, right, be ready to go ahead and have something that's going to be for 10,000. But right now, if I got 5 of you in the room, let me get 5 of y'all in. Right? They've been hindering our numbers for a long time now, especially on Kofi_43. Right? They've been hitting Kofi_42 right now. They blocked us. They said that we were giving hate speech because we said that everybody should love their culture and take care of themselves. Right? So right now, I might not be able to reach certain people that we would normally reach. But guess what? If I could only reach 50, well, guess what? Let me take an extra time and look at every single comment. Right? This is the season for that. Let me pick up the phone a little more when people think that we're gone or they just haven't found us or whatever. Let me take time out to where normally I wouldn't be able to stop for 55 people asking specific questions. But okay, today we only got enough to where, hey, 2 people are asking the question, let me stop. Right? I don't want to be outside of pocket where I'm doing too much. Right? To whom much is given, much is required, sure. But be faithful over a few things first, so he can make you ruler over many. In your few things place right now, right? Your spouse is saying, help me do the laundry. You're saying, but I just made sure that I paid for a vacation for $5,000. But the vacation of $5,000 is going to be sweet to distract you, but then you're going to come back and the laundry's still not being done. You see what I'm saying? Like, take time out to make the laundry happen. Once the laundry happens, now we can have a conversation about the trip to Hawaii, the trip to Africa, the trip to Venice, the trip to wherever. If you want to be more specific, the trip to Lagos, the trip to the Gold Coast, whatever. Okay. I'm just saying, like, we do too much, and we might be too much because it's too soon. Be faithful over the few. If I could go back and correct a lot of stuff, there's a lot of things that I didn't do when it was a few that I should have focused on when I had the few. There's a lot of stuff that I should have got together when nobody would let me speak and there was no platform, or at least I didn't comprehend how to use these platforms yet, so that I could go ahead and execute and use my gift. How you doing, King? Thanks for being part of the community. Right? Like if I could go back, that would be some of the stuff I would correct as well. Even when I felt down, I would have focused more on myself to make sure that once I got in front of the people, I wouldn't be so zapped because I was never feeding myself, but I was feeding everybody else. And my time alone with the few, with myself even, I didn't take time to sow in there, but I always had a word for everybody else, right? I was doing too much because I wasn't taking care of me, but I could take care of the whole world. You might be doing too much. Right? You might be doing too much. Right? You might be asking for things out of your children that they're still not ready to stop being 12 years old yet, but you might be asking because you're a single parent. You might be asking to do 24-year-old stuff. They've got to be protected where they are as children and at least have some childhood. There's a lot of people, a lot of stories we can study, a lot of things we can bring up, right? To be able to see what happens when you try to let a child go too fast, too soon. Yeah, a season where less is more. And by the way, you realize, see, I like the way you said that, right? Because a lot of people don't realize when you have less, you got more. And when you get more, you got less. I got more, so I don't have less time. See, I have less time for self-development. So guess what? When I had more time than I had, right? I had when I had more time, right? I should have spent less time on everything else and should have developed self. Now that I have less time, right? There's more stuff I got to get done. I can't get stuff, self-development stuff. If I didn't develop myself then, when nobody cared about who I was, man. See, and watch this. This is, I think, one of the reasons why Yah has allowed me to grow and to flourish, even if it's just on a lower level. Some people would say, but He's allowed us to move and we're growing and we're really doing some real change and stuff. Um, I developed my character. I told y'all before, I'm not perfect. I had lust issues in the pornography. I had no clue what it was to be a husband. I was a nice guy, but was never a great husband. I was, and I wasn't cheating, doing anything like that. But still, you can be a bad husband and not cheat. You cannot be aware of certain things you're doing that's damaging to your relationship, and being emotionally responsible for, in a sense, cutting ties and having people go through spiritual death, malnourishment, even. Um, I was very great at serving everybody in the community and having my wife say, "You not even here spending time with your family. You not even buying shoes for your child." Not that money wasn't there to not buy shoes for the child. It's just I literally wasn't there to do those things. Um, I was great at giving a sermon, but couldn't hear anybody's advice. I was great at making sure other people's marriages were being saved, and was coming home thinking to myself, is my marriage going to make it till tomorrow? Um, if you're not careful, you can be doing too much. It wasn't that I didn't have great intent. It wasn't mean that my heart wasn't pure. It did not mean that I did not want others to grow. It did not mean that I wasn't ready to take steps to make sure that things were happening. But I didn't have priorities straight. I'm sorry, you said I want my daughters to be children while they can. They're only children for a short time. Yeah. And by the way, the child who's not a child, see, watch this. If they don't learn how to be a child for their parents, guess what? It's going to be difficult being a child of the Most High. Uh-oh. Right? If my son, right? Come here, sir. If this great, if this great Prince of Yah, who will be one day a great man of Yah, if he doesn't learn how to be obedient to his father and his mother, he's going to have a difficult time when he gets to be older and it's time for him to be a husband and be a father. And prayerfully, be in the Levitical priesthood. That's my desire, right? I think it's his as well, but he's got to grow into it. But he's gonna have a tough time if we don't get this right at home. So if I'm making sure, he can be great in everything else. He can be great in the video game. He can be great in kung fu. He can be great with his homework. But if he doesn't learn how to be obedient here, we're gonna have a problem. Say shalom.
Shalom.
Where they can hear you.
Shalom.
Yeah. So thank you, sir. But I'm just, a great work. So I'm just saying, like, we have all this stuff. You can go play if you want, or you can stay. It's up to you. But if we don't handle this, if we don't make sure that this stuff is done right now, how you doing, Sister Deborah? If we don't make sure this stuff is handled at this level, right? I see all those great things in them, but right now, you got to focus on it. Right now, hey son, you're traveling right now. You're seeing some sights. You're seeing some beautiful things. Like, don't miss it. Hey son, you might need. Look, this is stuff y'all be saying to your children too. Hey, you might need to put that video game down for a second, right? I know it's your born day, but don't forget like where you are right now. You getting to see stuff that I never got to see your age. Right, you being blessed beyond measure. You're seeing how your father, who's a Levite, who's not allowed to work in the field, that Yah has blessed him and has allowed the people of Yah to bless him. These are your family members, as we talked about earlier. This is your family. Like, don't miss this. Even when what I was pointing to on the screen, I was trying to show them, like, you see people are saying shalom, this and that, or whatever, right? And respond to them. Like, we can be so busy doing so much to where before I would have even shunned him away and been like, okay, I don't want you on. And that would have been years ago, to be honest. For years, he's been coming on, even when you can find videos of him when he's you know, like this, and he's he's sitting on dad's lap, and even when I'm preaching sermons and stuff, and I'm holding them in my arms, right? But you got to train them up. Brothers, train them up the child in the way that they should go, so when they grow old, right now, train them up. So what's your training regimen going to be? You might be doing too much. You so busy talking about when they get to be, I need to start making them act like they 20 something. I need to make sure that they act like this. Look, train them up right now. And y'all know, like, our culture or whatever, he might end up, we've talked to parents about it already. He might end up being betrothed. Our culture a little different than other people's culture. He's being trained to be a husband, not to mess around, right? But even in that, he don't have to start, like, you're not ready to provide for your wife, even if you get betrothed. And she ain't old enough for this. She ain't old. So guess what? Like, still, you need to be a little boy, right? How you doing, Darius? How you doing, Freddie Mac? Thanks for being part of the community, Freddie. Right? You might be doing too much, and we might be doing too much because we're doing stuff too soon. By the way, even if it's righteous what you're doing, if it's righteous intent, if you're moving before Yah says move, or you're moving to do something that Yah says not to do, just because you've seen it in the Bible, just because somebody preached, and be careful, you better make sure that you're in the spirit, because just because some preacher comes in front of you and says, the Lord told me that you need to blah, blah, you better be careful, because if the Lord ain't say it, if the Holy Spirit did not say, this is where you need to move, you're doing too much. Uh-oh. That's real talk. Be careful out here. Be careful when you're listening to people say all this stuff and trying to tell you and teach you all these things, and say, like you got people that are speaking stuff over you, and Yah didn't say move anywhere. The Vakagodash didn't say move anywhere. The blood of Yehoshua has not covered anything, but you busy moving. Be careful. You might be doing too much. I keep doing this. The prophet told me I was going to do this, and it was 5 years ago. Look, I believe that sometimes there's stuff that the prophet might speak, and maybe it takes 20 years to happen. But maybe there's a time that we've heard the prophet say something, but it wasn't time to move. And sometimes Yah himself is being like, hey, slow down. Exactly. Move slowly. Slow down. Take your time. Look at what's going on. Have you written out the vision and made it plain upon the tablets that whoever reads it can run with it? You're asking, look, I know your wife spoke this over you. Slow down. Yes, she might be upset. Make sure you're caring for her and that you're feeding her security and affection so that she can be able to roll with you. But you might need to slow down. Yes, your husband did speak this over you and said this is what you were going to do. And this, well, okay, fine. Slow down. This what? Okay. 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 You all right? Not really. Okay. All right. So, right. You might need to slow down. I was just talking about slowing down. Let me see it. Oh yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. It's gonna hurt for you a little bit, but relax. Try to put something on in a second. So you see what I'm saying? You might need to slow down. Right? Don't be in such a rush. Don't be in such a rush to do righteous things that you don't move the way Yah told you to move righteously. Did Yah tell you to do that? Did Yah tell you to do that? I need you to ask yourself sometime. You might need to ask yourself, hey, did Yah tell us? Did Yah tell me to move like that? Did he tell me to watch? Did he tell me to do this with my child? People go, I can't believe this. I taught my child this. My child is acting like this, acting like that. We didn't teach them this at this house. Like, did you even teach him? Shalom, how you doing, big brother Thomas? Did you even have the ability and the opportunity to teach the child? Did they go to school more? Did they hang out with their friends more? If you're split parents, did they hang out with the other parent more? Or was the parent and did the parent and you make sure that you had certain things you agreed upon? You can have two parents that are in the same house that don't agree on how to raise the child. You can have a mother and a father that live together and love each other very much and never agree on a vision for the child. Fight about the vision of the child. Love each other. And you better live it too, right? Or you could provoke your child to wrath, which is a warning we're given not to do, a commandment we're told not to do, because that can be something as simple as you're asking them to do something, but that's not their calling. There's a lot of people who I meet, and they come out of preaching, and you talk to them, and they want to talk to me about it, and they say, everybody's upset with me, Kofi, and this and that or whatever. And I say, well, was it your calling? And they say, honestly, I don't think it was. I think that I was really great at speaking. My parents, like the people, told me I looked like a preacher. I listened, but now that I'm 10 years in, I don't think this is what I was supposed to do anyways. I'm totally comfortable never saying another word in front of somebody in the congregation again. You know what I say? Well, then, hallelujah. Praise God. Because you need to be in your calling. You don't need to be in what somebody else is telling you. Because if you do what somebody else tells you you're called to do, you're not in your calling. You're going to be in your falling. You will fall short. Sometimes it's what I was saying earlier, right? It's also your character. Many people aren't in their calling, they're in their falling because you don't have the character. Now is the time to build up character. Don't be worried about building up views. If your business is if you're starting a business, don't be worried about building up dollars. If you've been given a vision for a business, it's too much to start talking about the dollars from the jump. You need to make sure that you have the character, because when your character builds up, but you don't have, I'm sorry, when your vision builds up, but you don't have character, that's when you become Bill Clinton. You said a lot of parents get confused about provoking their children, so they either do too much or not enough. I totally agree with that. See, when you have all this stuff and you were trained to be a lawyer from a young age, they knew you got the ability to be a president from a young age. They got you involved with the perfect wife that would make sure that it looked like everything was going well, but you don't have the character. So at least if you're going to cheat like that, Bill, if you're going to be doing stuff like that, Bill, don't be don't be doing stuff where people literally know that you're messing around with the help, with the person who's young and who's going to run their mouth and talk to people, and you're putting cigars in places they don't belong in. Bill, you don't even have enough, and this is gonna sound wild because this is not something that we promote. But Bill, you don't even have enough character to make sure that if you're gonna cheat, at least you don't embarrass your family. I don't believe that you should cheat at all. But hear what I'm saying. You don't even have enough character, Bill, to make sure. Like, now, look, Bill, as far as getting stuff done and preserving the union, you did what you were supposed to do. You were the president of the trust called the United States Corporation, and you made sure that all the people, all the other corporations, people that made money, you did exactly what you're supposed to do, Bill. But meanwhile, though, you don't even have enough sense in you that if you're going to do this, look, you are the president. People know JFK was out there cheating, and the whole Marilyn Monroe thing was sus when she was singing "Happy Birthday, Mr. President." It was sus back then. People knew that something was going on, but dang, at least he had enough decency, as his wife was feeling some kind of way, but at least it wasn't out on Front Street. Now, darkness eventually gonna come to light, so we would have found out. But Bill, you just straight up everybody that's walking through, you got to get it several times a day. You was already being accused of it when you were the governor of Arkansas. I'm just saying, there's something there where you don't realize what position you're in. And see, some of you are trying to get to that level. Yeah, you have a presidential calling, so to speak. I'm not saying you need to be in the government or in the beast, but some of you have a presidential type calling, but you don't have the character for it. Look, Ronald Reagan's wife was known, forgive me, I'm going to just keep it a buck with you though. Ronald Reagan's wife was known for being on her knees in front of many men, even when she was married to Ronald Reagan, the governor, Ronald Reagan, the actor, and before. But y'all ain't find out about it unless you heard some lyrics to a song here that y'all ain't know about it till somebody brought it up recently. I'm just saying. And his wife was helping to run things when she saw her husband, even though she was cheating on him. She saw her husband was losing his ability to think, right? When he was losing his ability to think, he was going through Alzheimer's. She was helping to make sure that certain things were ran, and he looked a certain way. Because you can say whatever you want, and I'm not saying, once again, I'm not saying you should cheat. I'm saying some people got at least enough character to where stuff got to run. Or what? Some of y'all was today years old when you found out. I'm just saying, there's a lot of stuff there. Character. You might be doing too much. You saying, "Yeah, give me this. Yeah, give me this. Yeah, give me this." And Yah's like, "Okay, but you don't have the character." See, watch this. "Hey, give us a king." He said, "It ain't gonna work out for y'all because y'all don't have the character, and nobody really has the character to be the king of Yashta'al. But all right, I'll give you Saul. Saul gonna mess up, straight up mess up. I'll give you David. He gonna mess up, but at least he'll ask for forgiveness, and he's a man after my own heart. I'll give you Solomon. He'll be the wisest man up to that point to ever live. Meanwhile, he gonna mess up because he's gonna be involved in everybody's kingdom, and he's not gonna get past his daddy's lust issues because he asked for wisdom, but he never asked for character. You might be doing too much, asking for too much because your character's not ready. I believe one of the reasons why SOC will be great as far as somebody who's looking over the environment, such as myself, is because I was asking Yah for stuff for years, and he would not give it to me because character. In our culture, you can't even be a rabbi until you're 30 years old. I was asking for stuff. I was doing interim pastoring. I was preaching. I was homeless, still doing work. I was putting in work. People around DC knew who I was. And even when I went through an extremely difficult life situation where I got locked up and in prison for something I didn't do and had to wait 8 months for the right to speedy trial, was never even put on trial, and had to learn how to preach in prisons and stuff. Y'all was developing my character. So when I finally had the opportunity to where he said, "Okay, son, let's go. It's time. It's time. It's time for people to see what's been developed. It's time for people to see what you put in. It's time for you to find a real wife, right? And find somebody who will help you to obtain favor. It's time for you to be now you're ready. You know what father is. You know what husband is, right? Now this is a different mindset. It's time. It's time. Nobody, you need to start talking about culture. Nobody's talking about culture. They're going to see you developed in culture. It's time. See, you have culture and character. Culture helps me to keep character because character comes out of culture. He said it's time. And now that it's time, I might have less time, but I'm able to do more because I developed. When I had more time, I made sure that I took care of less character. But now that I have less time, I have more character. Did somebody catch that? I know that might be a little, I said it in a weird way, but hopefully you catch it, right? I'm feeling it better than what I'm saying it, but prayerfully you see what I'm saying, right? When I had less time, I developed more character, right? Now that I have, when I had more time, right? I took care of less character. When I had less time, now I have more character. I was trying to do too much, and y'all was saying, look, if you really want to do what you call to do, Kofi, you're going to have to develop character. If you're really going to be a husband or preach on being husbands as much as you do, because you preach on it a lot, Kofi. If you're going to talk about being a husband as much as you do, guess what you're going to have to do? You're going to have to develop character, because you can't get in front of y'all's people and now mess up. How you doing, Sister Kimberly? You can't get in front of y'all's people and now you're going to be caught up like everybody else cheating. If something else happens because you weren't in, because somebody else ain't in position, if something else happens because something happens that just you can't help it, some kind of accident or something like that, hey, we'll deal with that. But you ain't gonna be the problem, Kofi. You're gonna be out here talking about marriage. I can't have somebody talking about my culture. So you go into another level. I asked for another level. See, I asked for a double portion. I said, yeah, give me something to talk about. He said, you got to develop character. I see you, Proverbs chapter 3. I see you, right? What's that, verses 5 and 6, verses 4 and 5, 5 and 6, somewhere in there, right? Right, trust in the Lord. I believe that's where we're going. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. He said, I got to give you character. You're asking, some of you are asking Yah for things and you're not developing the character to hold it. And you're going to get it eventually one day, but you're not going to have the character. Take time out in this season of life to ensure that character is correct. Take time out in your walk today to make sure that character is correct. You're asking for a whole bunch. You're asking for the diaspora to be healed. What is the character of the diaspora? Thank you, Ben. What is the character of the diaspora? What is the heart of the diaspora? What does your culture look like? What is your language? What is your character? What do you uphold? What are you willing to die for? See, I don't want to speak because, like I told you, I'm willing to go. My prayer is 150 years. I'm only 40. That means I got to go 110 more years. But I'm just being honest with you. What happens if somebody comes up and says, Kofi, you're going to be in jail or we're going to take your life if you don't say that, because stuff is headed that way, believe it or not. Just pay attention. People are getting locked up for taking stances on things now. Thank you, Sister Nadine. Appreciate it. Right? People are getting locked up for lack of care, or right, and people are having to make decisions. Lil Wayne told y'all he was in concert telling people and inciting the crowd to start chanting Black Lives Matter. But then he's getting in trouble. He needs that pardon. All of a sudden, he's on Undisputed. You know what? I never had any problem. To me, racism never existed. I never saw it. Right? You have no character, Wayne. I'm not saying that you don't, on all your babies, you don't make sure that you love them and tuck them in, and he does some really not. But I'm trying to tell you, Wayne, there's some things you're not getting right as far as character. Right? You ill, but you have no character. You know? Drizzy, right? Drake, yo, the world is your oyster, but you won't let that boy come home. Addy Don can't come home. You lying about your relationship with your father, but it sells records. You've gotten to a place where you could cause real change, but you can't do it. Why? Because you have no character. There's a lot of people who are out here that don't want it, that want something so bad, but you're not trying to develop the thing that's going to help you to not only obtain it, but to keep it. You want to follow commandments, right? Yahshua says, if you love me, if you do the right actions towards me, if you ahabach me, then what do? You will keep my commandments. You won't just talk about, you will keep them. In order to keep them, that means that you must be a disciple. You must be disciplined. You're doing too much too soon. You asking for things. How you doing, Brother Alex? Right? What you say? You said your daughter always says character is doing the right thing when no one is watching. Yeah. Excellent. I don't know which one of the babies said that, but yeah. I don't know if that's the 14-year-old, the 11-year-old, whichever one of y'all said that. Amen. Right? Right? You preaching over here, little girl. Right? But that's real. Right? It's the character. You said, do I think you should do a fast for 7 days? That's between you and the Most High. If that's where you're being led, be obedient. But see, it's a character thing, integrity, right? By the way, integrity is where it's the same word, basically, it's the same root word, but the same word is when you talk about integration. To integrate means to become one. Strangely enough, I wouldn't say strangely enough, but it might be strange to some. The word holy means to be whole. It means to be one. Be ye holy as I am holy is saying integrate with me as husband and wife. This is why I tell you, there never really truly has been integration in the United States of America, because in order for there to be integration, we must have all become one. That means not only your character or your culture gets to come to the table, but my culture gets to come to the table. And if you will only allow your culture, but will dismiss everything of mine, you have no character. You live in a soulless country, fake country, right? The corporation called the United States. You live in a soulless corporation because they had, and it therefore has no character. This is why you deal with people who say that, hey, you know what? I'm not worried about being moral. I might be worried about being ethical, but I don't want to be moral, because you have no character. Why are you pressing me to be married? We've been in a relationship for 20 years. Ain't I here? Because you have no character. They know that the ring means accountability. Somebody says, oh, this is why everybody comes out now. I don't want to get into marriage because you got to sign these fake contracts. You can sign a private contract. Ain't no excuse. By the way, you're registered to the state already. So if you have children with the person, the state still gets to kind of come in and say and do whatever they do, because you are making sure that you and your children are private anyways. You're public citizens. You're not private sovereigns. Yeah, people be together for 20 years. People come to me, you know what, I was with so-and-so for 15 years and they still wouldn't get married, but I hung in there and stuff like that. And I listen, but I'm just keeping a buck with you, right? Where's the character? Where was your character in that? To say that I'm going to lay down with somebody and not be married is because you come from a wicked place where they don't have character. Thank you for being on, Sheena. They don't have character. They're not worried about character. They're not worried about what's there. Why is the letter A a character? The letter A is a character because no matter if you call it Aleph, A, if you say A, whatever, if you see it en le français, if you see it in Espanol, if you see it where somebody's speaking patois, if you see it where it's Yas'el, wherever you see it, you know the letter A because it has the same character. And if you actually study it, you know it has the same number value, you know that it has the same character, you know it has the same meaning as far as the father, the ox, the one who's strong first, right? It is holy. It is the beginning of everything. It's one with the sun, Aleph Bet, or alphabet, as you guys say now, right? Going into the Greek, it has the same character. And even with me saying that, some of you probably like, what in the world was he just talking about there? Because you don't even know the character of how language works and what you're using. Character. Character means that I got to keep it, as young sister said it. I got to keep it when nobody's listening. Right? Character is, bring it back to sports. Character is, I used to shoot bare minimum 100 free throws every day. Had to shoot 100 shots, or do 100 moves and 100 shots from each side of the block, each side of the basket. Had to do 100 layups doing the mic and drill, left hand, right hand, left hand, right hand. Had to run at least 10 suicides. Sorry to use that term. I was using it for the actual trigger warning. Sorry. I was using it for actual, like an exercise that you got to do where you run, then you touch, and then you come back, and then you run further, you touch, and you come back, right? That was outside of practice. That was outside of having the coach. How you doing, Money Green? That was, no parent was there. My father working 2.5 jobs, right? I had to go through all these different things. That was one of our drills. Thank you. That's a better word, right? I went through all those things, and nobody saw it, but that was character. When nobody was willing to see what was going on, that was character. I'm not that person anymore. But when I was in the military, there was a time that if you give me a chance to run, I might be able to run 1.5 miles in 6.5 minutes. Didn't know at the time, but I was pretty close to like world renowned speed. Got really long legs. Was really skinny back then, right? And even though I had asthma, I could sprint. Certain times I would have to be really slow, but then there were times I could sprint for really, really long distances. Right? That meant that I had to practice. That meant PT, right? Besides physical training with everybody in the unit, I would run on my own. Right? When I didn't keep running on my own, it got to a place where now I can't do that anymore. But I had character development. See, a lot of people don't catch this. Kofi, how can you go 3-4 hours in the rising and go 1-2 hours in the evening? Before y'all knew who I was. I told people, don't believe this about me when I tell this to them, but not only have I been walking around 4 years old, listening to my elders preach and teach, 6 years old was preaching and teaching myself. Had to learn how to write a sermon. By the time I was 8, 9, my mother was writing them at 6. I had to learn how to write them 8, 9. Became agnostic, but still talked about the word and studied and was a student. Learned how to lead other people, do things like that. My entire life, I've been building up for this moment. And when everybody's just getting up and saying, hello, how you doing? Join us on the live session. And thank you guys for doing so, by the way, especially those of you who are on the West Coast or different parts of the world. Praise God for you for catching us at different times. But see, I'm my character. See, I can't help it. I'm up at 5, whether I like it or not, because my character was being developed all these years, right? So when I started coming on and it was time to push initially, people who weren't with us on the original Kofi and the School of 40 page, you might not know this, but especially with activism and a lot of stuff was going on, people needed a lot more word. Guess what I was doing? I was putting out sometimes 30, 40, 50 videos in a day just on TikTok. That doesn't include what I might put out on Facebook or YouTube. I was putting out that much stuff every day. Thank you, sis. Appreciate you. Said you have character. You always been doing what was right when nobody's watching. So we develop now. Yeah. So a lot of you come on here and go, man, how does he do that? How can we do this? Or how does he answer a question? And blah, blah. Like, it's not because I'm better than anybody. It's because I've got character. Praise y'all, Sister Sage. Right? It's not because I'm better than anybody. I have character development. So part of my character is, even when I don't want, I've told y'all this, even when I don't feel like talking to anybody, Like y'all heard the weather and how bad it was and stuff. We've been rolling in that, right? I just finished stopping somewhere not too long ago. I thought about maybe we'll just do it in the car and do something real quick and go back. The Most High said no. Find a rest area. I was like, we only got 15 minutes before the live starts. I don't know if I'm gonna find. Keep going. Find the rest area. Found the rest area. Found a place with an awning. It rained really hard. Y'all heard what was going on around. Guess what? Still here, still obedient. Signal, and it's probably better than the signals that we've had at the beaches and stuff. No music playing or no extreme wind or whatever going through where you can't hear me. Right? It's character development. This is character development. Where even if I'm like, I don't, this it makes sense. So watch this. Can I say this? And we got to get ready to take our leave because I got to make sure that we get back in time. Trying to see if we can get back in a couple hours to our destination. Um, Character development. Y'all's gonna ask you to do some stuff that doesn't make sense. Now watch this. I know my calling. My calling makes sense. I know I'm a teacher. That makes sense. But guess what? Trying to find a place to be able to present word to you all on an evening like tonight with all this weather, that doesn't make sense. But the calling requires me to move even when it doesn't make sense. Yah is calling you to something. He's developing character because see, character is going to help you with your faith. Faith is when we're trying to do things based off of what we hope. Your character is going to keep your hope in check. You catch that? If you don't know what I'm referencing, Hebrews 11:1, right? Faith is the substance of things hoped for. So faith is the substance of things hoped for. Hope leads to your faith, and faith leads what? To the evidence that is not yet seen, the manifestation. Right? So you're going to have to develop character that no matter what's going on, all right, same thing to you, Sister Monica. You're going to have to develop the character that no matter what it looks like, I'm not moving. That's when you're steadfast, unmovable, always abounding. You're gonna have to develop the character that when I don't know what I'm supposed to do, I'm still gonna give y'all my first fruit as far as my time, my talent, my effort, my energy. You're gonna have to develop the character. There are days to where your marriage ain't gonna work. It doesn't seem to be working. But Yah says to love my house, love my wife, love my house, love my husband, love my children. Gotta love them. That's character showing up. Until whatever Yah says regarding that relationship makes it over, I'm going to do everything and keep my character. This is why we teach our sisters, your responsibility is to be a wife. Husbands, your responsibility is to be a husband. Keep your character as a husband. Keep your character as a wife. And do that before you get married so you can be proactive and not reactive. A lot of you walk down the aisle and then start talking about, I'm going to react. Now I'm going to become a wife. But he who finds a wife, if you're not a wife before marriage, then guess what? You don't have your character together. Which means now you walk down the aisle and you think, I'm going to start changing. I just used this as an example the other day. The girl that Amber Rose. Amber Rose, known for doing all this, dating all these guys, being a freak, doing all this stuff, always showing her body. And now she's like, well, yeah, I don't do those things anymore because I have children. Well, guess what? You shouldn't have been doing them when you didn't have the children. You don't have to see, watch this. You think that overnight you're going to shift into a new character. And see, that's called acting. See, those of us that have character, we don't act, we don't play around. I don't do things because of drama, right? If I have character, then I don't need to act, right? But those of you who don't have character, you have to play a character. That's what you act in. That's when you front. Oh, somebody missed that. That'll bless your spirit right there. A lot of y'all are playing what you've seen on TV. A lot of you are playing what people say you're supposed to be. A lot of you are playing what you maybe saw somebody do, but you never had developed. But see, character, see, that's why you're doing too much. You're doing too much because you think you're supposed to be Claire Huxtable. You think you're supposed to be Cliff Huxtable. You think you're supposed to be the daddy off of Family Matters, right? You think you're supposed to be um, 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 Uncle Phil. You think you're supposed to be whomever? No. Like you playing the character, but you don't have character. Character's not supposed to change. This is one of the most wicked things that's been introduced even through comic books. Something small. I know there's a lot bigger things we could talk about, but something as small as the characters keep changing. How many versions of Superman are there? Some of y'all think Christopher Reeves is the end all be all of Superman. There was Superman before him. right? There's a Superman that was before the movies or the television show. And before that, they're talking about other Greek gods that you're not trying to talk about. Or shifting the story of what happened with Yahweh the Ain, or what some of y'all try to call the Jews. It keeps changing every time I look. Look, Thor in the comic book is not Thor in the movies. And what people have begun to think is it's okay. And watch this. When you play a character, this is what happens. You say, hey, what Thor was in the comic books, I'm not going to be what Thor is. I'm going to bring what I believe. See, this is what happens. In my opinion, how I feel, what I want to bring to the character. And they change it. You have all these true stories, but they're not true stories. They're based on true stories. And who knows how much of it's true or not unless you do your research. But somebody says, I want to bring this to the table. I want to focus on LGBTQ plus. So even if that's not what their culture mandated, we're going to go ahead and act like that's what they were doing. Right? Finding Nemo was great. All of a sudden, Finding Nemo 2, we need to make sure that you see him more than just what was in Finding Nemo. I haven't seen this, but in the Star Wars Picard series that they have, apparently Picard and Data have some kind of weird relationship, and Data's supposed to be a robot. And then Picard at the end turns into a robot or something like that. I just heard this for the first time today. Right? Like you can't, we are always shifting the character because we believe that it's okay to change character. But see, when you change character, you just playing and you allow whatever you feel to be brought to it so that the character is more of a reflection of you and not what made the character successful in the first place. Oh, you don't want to hear that, but that's real. See, the character was successful. The character that a husband has was successful before I was born. So if I would just simply tap into the character and be that character rather than trying to say, I want that character to be what I want it to be, and I'll go ahead and influence it by my lifestyle. If I would just do what's already there, then we wouldn't have to have drama, because drama is when we're acting, because that's where the word drama comes from, right? When you're acting. Drama is when we're acting to try and make sure that we live by some kind of new version or some kind of hybrid character that shouldn't exist, because character doesn't need to be mixed with me. I need to have character. If that's the character of husband, let me have that. Let me develop that. I don't need to reestablish it. I don't need to reinvent the wheel. I don't need to reinvent the character. The character of husband is there. Matter of fact, my husband, spiritually speaking, is Yahweh. He already has the character down, and he's already told me how to do it. I don't need to look everywhere else. I can just look right in relationship. And therefore, I don't have to reevaluate or say, I'm going to add my little thing on it. I'm going to go ahead and just be who I was called to be. See, but you might be doing too much. You might be doing too much. I need character. I'm looking for all the money. I need character. Who's going to help me to sell this chicken? I need character. Who's going to help me to develop this special sauce? You need character. Who's going to help to make sure these babies are taken care of? I need character. Look, the babies might not all be in your house right now. Develop your character. Whoever that's for. There's multiple people on here, so I'm not talking to just one person. If that's for you, it's for you. If the shoe fits, wear it. If it don't, take it off. Look, you might not have all your family up in your house right now. That's okay. Develop character. Your family might not believe that you changed. That's okay. Develop character. Your family might not have ever been there for you. Guess what? While they weren't for you initially, you should have developed character. Now is the time to develop character. I sat in a jail cell. I ain't do nothing. I was frustrated and upset beyond all believabilities. Y'all would have seen a totally different person. And in my cellmate, my cellie, who was one of those guys that's in and out of prison, jail body, all that, right? But I'm 6'5.5" and they're angry, probably a little more in shape at the time. And he literally looked at me and he said, bro, I was scared to even talk to you. I was out of character. So much so, right now, some people would be like, yeah, you in there, you a beast, you hard, you rock tough, you this and that, whatever. Ain't nobody gonna mess with you. That's not even my character though. I know what I can and can't do to somebody. That's not my character. So I had to come back to character. And even though I didn't want to teach Bible study, But I saw that the person who was doing the best he could, he did not have the knowledge at all. I mean, I'm talking about didn't have knowledge at all outside of just saying, Jesus is the way, Jesus will save you. Read John 3:16. That's all he could say. And you had 10, 15, 20 people. And one of them, I just so happened to see him with a Bible. And so I was just like, hey, what you reading? And he talked to me. He's like, yeah, there's this great guy and this and that or whatever. And I started talking to him and he was like, yo, you know the word. Like, you need to go and talk to him. He'll teach you. And I was just going to be obedient, just listen. And then he was like, no, go ahead, brother. If you know something, say it. And I started to teach. And little I know, and I'm in a place I want no part of. I want zero part of this. How you doing, Minister Tamar? I want zero part of the prison, but character showed up. You hear what I'm saying? I wanted zero part of it. Don't deserve this. Didn't do what you say and I did. Character showed up. Right? Don't be upset. I'm trying to tell you right now, you're asking for too, you're doing too much. You're saying, give me this. I need the big car. I need the big house. I need to make sure I can travel. I need to make sure I lose. Watch this. I need to lose the weight. I need to eat right. Character. Now it's time to develop character. Every year, everybody starts off with the same goals as far as losing weight. Y'all said you've been coming to me every year talking about you're going to lose weight. And I've always thought it was a great idea that you lose weight. The problem is not you're wanting to lose weight. The problem is, do you have the character? First of all, is your body even supposed to look like that? Because just because you have a shape doesn't mean you're in shape. A lot of people who are in shape don't make it that long, right? So don't get it twisted. Just because you look a certain way doesn't mean that you automatically in shape, right? But that being said, if you're going to do it, what's up? Character. Why are you missing 5, 6, 7 days in a row routinely? How you going to get better? And then you go to the gym 3 days and then you don't go for another month? How you going to make sure that you're going to keep the stuff off if when you finish at the gym, your first place to go is to get as much grease and salt and fat in your life and sugar? You don't have a problem. You don't have a delusion as far as whether you can get in shape or not. You have no character. Look, I'm not perfect myself, okay? Right? I'm just trying to tell the truth. Sometimes I gotta look at myself and be like, yeah, you know what, Kofi, when you get on the road and you be running out of energy, you don't run straight to the ashwagandha. You be looking for stuff that you know will be a pickup real quick for you. So rather than just prepare because you're so quick to try and be on time, you got a righteous intent to be on time, but you should just stop, get your herbs together, pour it in your cup, drink it, and even if it doesn't taste great, like you don't need it to taste great, you need it to make sure that you're healthy and you're awake at the same time. So you're awake, but you're not healthy, Kofi, because you're so worried about being on time or so worried about making it somewhere, but you're not taking time out to make sure you take care of your body. How you doing, Minister Tamara? Right? You might be doing too much. To whom much is given, much is required. Also, right? But be faithful over a few things before you start talking about being a ruler over many. Your problem might not be, I know people say this stuff, your problem might not be that you done told everybody your business and you should have kept it to yourself. Your problem might be that while you were telling everybody what was going to happen, you didn't remind yourself that you need to develop character. See, watch this. Instead of, right, especially if Yah or the Holy Spirit do so. If you're going to proclaim in faith that Yah's about to change it around, he's about to give you all that money, he's going to give you all this prestige, that's great. While in the meantime, while you start telling all your friends and family and all these people that are listening to you and all the people that are that you're saying they're going to be like Joseph did, hey, I saw the sun and the moon and the stars and they bowed down to me and all this. While you're doing all that, thanks for being part of Humanity, Leela. While you're taking time out to do all that, also tell them, so hey, Yah's about to do this for me. And by the time you see me next year, these are the things that are going to happen. Praise Yah is going to happen. In the meantime, though, I need some of y'all to know that you will not be getting phone calls from me. I need some of y'all to know that's for some of you, you will be blocked. I need some of y'all to know that I will not be allowing you to go down this part of the journey for me. Not because I don't love you, but because I love myself and I love the Most High enough and I love you so much that I won't allow you to be the reason why Yah's will in my life won't get done. I've got to develop character, and that means I can't go to the club like we was going to the club. I got to develop character. That means that even if we're singing gospel songs, we get together and we sing for 5 hours straight, and then I don't get nothing done, right? All right, like hey, look, I love you, bro. We talk about the word, but we always end up getting into these debates about the word, and then I don't work out, and I need to work out. Look, I love you, sis. I appreciate everything that you've done for me. I love the fact that you watch my children and all this. But for real, when you watch my children, they end up kind of getting jacked. So yeah, Yah's gonna do some things for me, but I just need you to know you're also not gonna see that much of me. Not because I don't love you, not because I don't appreciate you, not because I don't respect you, not because you're not great. I just need you to know that right now what he requires of me, it develops character, and he showed me that my character is not where it needs to be. If I'm going to be able to keep up with what he's blessing me with, then my character better be in place. How many times has Yah given you exactly what you asked for, but you didn't have the character not to watch this? Yah gives you $100,000 over time, and you were asking for 100,000. He gave it to you over 2 years, but you kept spending money. Right, you got all this extra money. Like, man, I got this money coming in. I'm gonna just go. Wow, he's blessing me. Wow, let's get the car. Wow, let's go on the vacations. Wow, let's do this. And then here it is. Now you don't have the stuff. But he gave you the 100,000, but now you can't find it. You can't even account for it. Nobody knows what happened with it. Nobody knows what happened to it. Why? It wasn't that he didn't give it to you. It's because he gave it to you, but you never developed the character to keep it. It's just like we talked about with the commandments. It's not that he didn't give us the commandments. It's that we don't have the character to keep it. Praise y'all. Somebody needs to hear that over and over again. You're doing too much. Develop your character. You're doing too much. Develop your relationship. You're doing too much. Look, how you going to start a multi-million dollar worldwide business, and you don't even call people on the phone because you don't like to talk to people? You don't even answer emails because you're tired of them. You don't even make sure that you check up on past people you've done business with to see how the product works, to see if it works or not, to get feedback. And when you call, some people will buy more product just because you call, but you don't even like to answer your phone. You don't even like to call people on your phone. You don't even like to be bothered. That's what we say. Well, how you going to get to the next level? You talking about you're going to reach millions, but you can't even pick up your phone. You can't even get online. You don't even check your DMs. And then when you don't do that, you say, well, y'all must not want it for me right now. He gave it to you. You didn't answer the phone. That's not on him. That's on you. Where's your character? Sorry, I'm not trying to expose anybody. I'm just saying, where's your character? Yeah. Yeah. Do you have a character for your blessings? You pray for things and expect y'all to release it, but don't expect that you have any responsibility to make sure you have the character to hold what he gives you. Today is the day. You done heard it tonight over and over again. I wasn't even going here, but that's what he said. We're doing too much, and then he's talking about character over and over and over again. I'm just being obedient. If it hits you, whoever this is for, however it's for you, at this point, look, it's not that you don't know. It's character. I see you, Sister Tori. It's character. I've made more money these last 5 years than I've ever made in my life. Why do I feel like I'm in this situation? It's character. My prayer life is better than it's ever been. Why am I still? It's character. That's why the blood was shed, because Yehoshua knows that we're in sin. So he knows, therefore, your character is not always as strong as it needs to be. So when you fall short because of lack of character, you're covered. But in the meantime, develop it so that you don't always have to depend on the blood. Uh-oh. People that depend on the blood, that's parasites. Oh, y'all don't want to talk. Let me stop. We got to get on the road, right? I'm gonna get in trouble, right? But that's parasitical behavior. That's parasitical behavior. I'm gonna leave that there. All right, right. Whoever that needs to touch, let it touch you. Let it smack you upside your forehead, whatever it needs to do. But see, that's parasitical behavior. Something that's feeding off of the blood rather than being covered by it. That's different. It didn't say feed on the blood. Now I know he who eats of this bread, and drinks of this cup. But that's a parasite. If you all you're doing is just trying to feed off it, but you're not trying to be covered. I'm saying it's family with character and accounts. Oh, but character and accountability be the same? Character helps you with accountability. One of the reasons why people can't be held accountable is because they have no character. Character is unchanging. Character is what you should become to be steadfast, unmovable. If I'm steadfast, unmovable, always abounding, it's easy for me to be held accountable or to be accountable, or I'm in the position to hold others accountable. Right? So they're not exactly the same thing. But character will help you with accountability. They go hand in hand, though. Great question. Right? But it's time for us to stop being parasites. We keep living miracle to miracle like we live paycheck to paycheck. We don't have any character for the in-between. That's why people live paycheck to paycheck. I have no character. We finally start making a little bit of extra money. What do? Let's go and get this. Let's get this. Let's have this extra bill. Let's pay this. Let's do this. Let's go on this. Right? But when you have the stuff, instead of getting the extra, stop acting like it's time for you going the extra. Yah is already taking care of you as if you have the extra. The extra is not your problem. The character development is. Learn how to have character. Why does it say be thankful even when you don't have anything? That's what character says. So when you get millions, see, watch this. A lot of people don't comprehend. If you live for money only, even if you stop living paycheck to paycheck, a lot of people still, once they have money, guess what they do? They make $1 million. They say, okay, I got to make 2 million. You get 2 million, I got to make 4 million. You make 4 million, I need to make 8 million. You make 8 million, I need to make 16 million. I make 16 million, I got to get 32. 32, I got to go to 64. 64, 128, 128, 256, so on and so forth, right? 512, over a million. Over a billion now. I'm making all the money now, but I still feel empty. Why do you feel empty? Because when you had no money, you never developed character. Part of your character being thankful for what you had. So now you got billions and you're still not thankful, to the point to where some billionaires, when they lose a bunch of money, oh snap! Literally, there's a spider behind me that built the whole web. I don't do well with spiders. Oh wow, I do not do well with spiders. Y'all want to see a 6'5.5" guy? I am afraid. I don't know, but I gotta have character to make it through this. This thing literally built a web, I think, attached to my body. I did not feel this at all. Y'all see the size of this spider? Can y'all see that? That thing is huge. Yeah, it's attached to me. I don't know if that's poisonous or not. I might have to hit this thing with the with the phone stand. I do not do well with spiders. Y'all want to see somebody leap? I do not do well with spiders. Oh my greatness! I think it knows that it sees that I know it's attached to me. I don't know. It literally attached the spider web to my body. I turned around. This is crazy out here. Wow. Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and take our leave. Thank y'all for being on. This thing is crawling towards my body, and I'm not trying to get bit by something poisonous. I don't know what this is. So I'm gonna have to use this thing and try to hit this thing off of me. This thing is crazy. Y'all see this right here? Did you see it? I don't know if y'all can see it or not. It's bigger than what it looks. This thing built a whole spider web on me while I was doing a live session. I don't know if y'all can see the web or not. This thing is crazy. The web is like this big. Wow. Well, anyways, thank y'all for being on. That's my time. That's my time. That's my sign. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to get rid of this spider web. Yeah, it's finishing up the web on the inside. That's why it's going in circles now. But anyway, thank y'all for being on. Appreciate you. I'm gonna go ahead and try and see what I can do to get rid of this thing, and then get back on the road. I don't want to have a spider attached to me when in the car. But thank y'all for being on. We appreciate you. Honor your time. And remember the character piece. All right. Well, it might be a friend to me, but I'm not trying to have a spider web attached to me. But anyways, appreciate y'all. Y'all do well. And pray for us. Prayerfully, we'll be in place in a few hours or a couple hours. And may or may not see you tomorrow. I didn't really make sure I checked in with the person for tomorrow. So may or may not see y'all tomorrow. But we will talk soon. It's amazing. You can fight for your country. You can have gunshots and all that stuff, but let a spider come around you. You see, I got to develop more character. Oh, yeah. There's a bunch of spiders over here now. Wow. All right. I just sat in the wrong spot. Well, anyways, thank y'all. Appreciate you. We'll talk to you next time. Y'all take care. As always, check out my wife, the Honorable Maya, on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish. Not A and D, the letter N. Bloom and Flourish. She's a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. And thank y'all for being in tune with us. We'll see you tomorrow. Well, we'll see you whenever. I'll probably see you tomorrow for the rising. Either way, please check out Minister Tamara tomorrow and for the evening session at Tamara_Ya9. Also, please take time out to make sure that you're voting for her. I think you got to do it through the Facebook account. But we appreciate y'all. And as always, I'll see y'all later. This has been Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servant to Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time by being a voice of the voiceless and speaking the unspoken. Until I have the great privilege, opportunity, responsibility of being in front of you guys again. Please remember, as always, just that you are loved, you're necessary, you're majestic, you're fearfully and wonderfully made, and you, which is all of us working together, will be the reason why people who are in this system no longer have to be of it. Shalom, family. Peace.